Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're regular here, you know I review many photographic, audio and video related products. And if you're new here, well, that's exactly what I do. Now recently, over the last few months, I've been looking at a lot of Canon gear. I'm actually filming the close-up shot on my Canon R7 using the RF 50mm lens. That's a full frame lens, so that's giving me about 60mm. I've got my R10 up there filming a generic wide shot. I've actually got my Panasonic GH5 filming a wide shot there. So I'm well versed with Canon gear now. I've only been using it recently, but I have also got the Canon EOS R6, which we have here. And this is the full frame beast. It's a beautiful camera. Really love this camera. Now, I hummed and hawed for a long time, do I buy the Canon EOS R6? And there was two fundamental reasons what put me off buying it. One of them was it's only got a 20 megapixel sensor, and I psychologically thought that's too low a pixel count for it to be any good. So that put me off buying it. And secondly, I heard a number of people online saying for video it's not very good because it overheats. Although the image quality is great, it overheats, and those two factors put me off buying it. But one came up on eBay actually at a really good price, and I thought, well, you know, let's see what this fuss is all about. Is it worth getting? And I tell you what, I'm absolutely delighted I have purchased it. Now, I'm sure the vast majority of my viewers do know about the Canon R6. Maybe some of you do own the Canon R6. If you do, fabulous, and you must be really pleased with it, I'm sure, like I am. It's a great investment. I bought the R7 and the R10 actually after I purchased the R6. And you know why I bought the R7 and the R10? Because I was so impressed with the Canon R6, and that prompted me to buy the R7 and the R10. And both those cameras do have one, for me, major advantage over the R6. Both of them have no video record limit, so I can chin wag away and then cut out all my mistakes in the edit rather than having to keep stopping and starting the camera with a fear I'm going to actually run out of time. And that's why I like using the GH5. That also has no video record limit. So now in the studio, I'm well kitted that I can keep on going without worrying about running out of, running out of the record limit, you know, going over the 30 minutes. I'm running them off power supply, so I don't have to worry about the battery running out. The only thing I got now is worrying about filling up the SD card, and hopefully that won't happen. I'll probably have to chat for ages to fill up the SD card. So that was one of the downsides with the R6. I also did notice that I did some filming last weekend and it did start to overheat. I got the overheat warning, but it didn't stop recording, but the camera did feel quite warm. It actually felt, it was getting quite hot. So I think it would have stopped recording after a certain period of time. But I had actually got 3 videos done at that time. So again, that wasn't really a concern. It's the video record limit. But yeah, great camera, lovely handling. Probably my favorite camera I've ever used is the handling. I love the grip. It feels great, it's comfortable, and all the controls are exactly where you would want them. And that is what other people have been saying. And I think this is why, if you've been using Canon, you become a Canon fanboy, and I can see that now, and I can see why. It's not always about the image quality. Well, I'm going to quickly go through some test shots here so you can quickly see, but I'm not going to labour on them because there is absolutely no point. We all know that Canon cameras do produce fantastic image quality, and there's many people use the phrase the Canon colour science. I don't know, I love the colour science from my Sonys and from my Panasonic, so I'm not so sure about that. But the lens quality is great, and the overall image quality is great. The handling is phenomenal. And for example, the joystick for the adjusting the focus points, where you want it to be, for my thumb anyway, falls in place nicely. But I also like to use where I can have it up to my eye and drag the focus point across on the screen. I find that quicker. I find that very intuitive. The Nikon Z5 and the Z6 and the Z7 you can't do that with, but I can do that on the Canon, and I think that is great. I'm not terribly au fait with the on-off switch being on the left-hand side. On the top plate here, you'll see the on-off switch is on the left-hand side, as opposed to being around the shutter button or, you know, on the top here somewhere. with the R7 and the R10, it's on the right hand side. And I find, particularly like when I'm out and about, when I went to London as an example, it was great that it's all in one place. I don't have to use two hands to operate the camera. And that's a bit of a downside with the R6. You do have to have the other hand to be able to turn the camera on and off, and I found that a bit annoying. But that's a minor issue. I love its articulating screen. It's really, really good. But they've all got articulating screen these days, so that's not really a big thing. But the touchscreen is great. The Canon implementation of the touchscreen is fantastic on, again, all their cameras. I find all their recent cameras. You know, if you want to adjust exposure compensation, you want to adjust your aperture, your shutter speed, you can just tap the screen and adjust it that way if you want to do it. I'm still kind of old-fashioned, and I like to use a physical control, so you can, you know, I've got my back dial set up for adjusting exposure compensation as opposed to using the touchscreen. It's got your two dials, so you've got your dial on the top there for adjusting your aperture, shutter speeds, whatever, and your back dial for adjusting your shutter speeds, and well, I've got it set up to adjusting exposure compensation. It's so customizable, and that's what I really like as well. Really, really customizable. Now, for example, I've got this set up at the moment with a single point autofocus. So if I go into my focus points, let's just go into that. You can see there, I've got that set up for single point autofocus. So when I click the screen or whatever, I doubt whether you'll be able to see that. There's a little square. That's basically single point autofocus. So I use my joystick to set the focus, or drag to focus if I've got it up to my eye, and that's set for single focus. But the lovely thing is, I've got the AF on button set up for the eye detect. So if I quickly do see somebody walk into frame, a human, whatever, I can either hold it up to my eye and push that in, and it will change from single point autofocus to face or eye detect, just like that. It's brilliant. I love that. Also, I can go quickly into the menu because you can set shortcuts up. It's got a My menu, so you can set up shortcuts. So if I go into the menu screen, you can see I've got it on the shortcuts now. I've got that set at the moment to subject detect, and it says animals on there. That's what it's set to. Now I can very quickly change that to say people, and you've got a range on there: people, animals, vehicles. I set that to people, so set that to people there. You now see that set to people. Set that. And now, when I hit the AF on button, if I see a person, for example, Laurel and Hardy up there, hit that, and it'll focus straight on Laurel and Hardy, and then I can take the photograph. So I can use single point autofocus for generic shots that I'm taking. Might be plants, might be something out in the garden. And when I see something, it could be me cat. If I've got it in animal detect, I just hit the AF on button, and that is great. That'll pick up the animal. I love all that, as well as the two master control wheels. So you've got this one, this one, and this one. You've also got this one on the back here as well for setting your different. You know, I've got that set for ISO, I believe. Yeah, that's adjusting the ISO. So that is great. You know, what more can I say about it? I mean, there's a lot more I can say about it, but I just love its handling. Also, when you turn the camera off, let's say on the on-off switch at the top here, and you want to change lenses, I love this feature as well. Change the lenses, and the sensor is covered. So you've got no fear, or very little fear, of dust and grime getting on the sensor while you're changing lenses. And I think that is, you know, I don't know how clear that, there we go, that might be clearer, you can see that there. But that sensor is actually covered by the shutter. So you can then change your lenses without too much fear of any debris getting onto your sensor. And I think that's a really, really nice feature. It takes the standard Canon LPE6 battery, but it has got the newer LPE6HN or NH battery, so you can charge it via USB-C, or you can power it via USB-C. So it's got both power delivery and power charging via USB-C. That's another feature that I really like, because again, when I'm using it in the studio here, I don't want to have the fear of running out of battery. Now, with the Canon power delivery though, you do have to have either a specific type of charger or quite a powerful charger for it to work. It's got to be a PD rated power block or PD rated charger. I tend to use my MacBook Pro charger, that works fine, and on the R10 I've got an external power block which I purchased that has got power delivery but does work with the Canon cameras. And yeah, there we go. That is, you know, it's got 2 SD card slots. That's pretty standard really for a pro camera. You wouldn't expect any less from a pro camera, to be honest. 2 SD card slots, so you've got redundancy built in. I use it for JPEGs on one card and RAW on the other card. That's great for loading into Lightroom. They're separated. I don't have to, you know, think about it, and I think that is great. And it's got your headphone jack, mic jack, and all the other ports you'd expect on the side. Mini or micro HDMI port, which is a bit naff. Also, the HDMI output is really naff as well. Canon still haven't got that right, because when you plug in an external monitor into the HDMI out of the camera, it shuts down the screen on the camera. So if I've got like the monitor facing me and I'm trying to set the settings up, so I'm stood behind the camera setting the settings up, I've got to turn the flipping monitor around back to me, or back, you know, to the other side to be able to change the settings. I find that really frustrating. I don't know why. I think it must be down to the processor can't handle the output to the monitor as well as output to the camera. I don't know. I can only think that's what it is. I don't know. The top plate has no LCD display. That don't bother me in the slightest. It keeps it nice and compact. I didn't really use the LCD display hardly at all on my Nikon Z6, so I don't miss that. And it's got various, you know, function buttons on the top. It's got a lock button. I do use that. I thought it was a gimmick, but I actually do use this lock button on the top here. Just there, this lock button. I use that primarily when I'm setting the camera up on a tripod. So if you can visualize this on a tripod, you're moving the camera, you're holding the camera to adjust the tripod. You easily knock settings. You can knock your shutter speed if you're doing video out of joint and not notice it. You know, there's various things you can knock. I use a lock button, put that on, and that locks, well, basically locks the buttons. So when you're fiddling around with a camera, you're not going to knock it, you know. Yeah, really nice piece of kit. 4K video. It's not cropped 4K video, unlike some of the Canon cameras. It is full width, sensor width. Also, it's got dual pixel autofocus on both 4K and 1080. I mean, images, that's what we're going to do. Have a look at the images. You know, images are fantastic that come off this sensor, and that's one thing I was concerned about, whether the image quality would be up to scratch. But the image quality is great. It's nice and sharp. I mean, there's loads of images on my Flickr page. There's a beautiful sharpness. The color rendition is lovely. And the high ISO capabilities are excellent on the R6. I'll show you one that I took of my Polaroid camera, just a snap. It's nothing, you know, clever, but that was you see there, 25,600 ISO. So that's going to be incredibly noisy on a vast majority of other cameras. But this one was fine. There is noise there, but look, it's just hardly anything. I have in Lightroom taken the noise, I have decreased the noise by using the luminance bar to bring the noise down a bit. But not, you know, massively, only a little bit. Where is it? Somewhere here, under noise. Luminance, you can see there's a lot of noise there. You can take the noise out using the luminance bar, but that's not really affecting the sharpness. So you can use, you know, 25,600 ISO if you desperately needed to. But if you're going up to like 800, 1600, 3200, you're not going to have any issues with the Canon R6. So that is fabulous. I really, you know, really pleased with that. I've been taking some photographs with my new lens that I've purchased, which is the Canon RF 100 to 400, which we have here. Let's put that cap back on. Now, I will be doing a review of the 100 to 400 once I've got more photographs with it. I haven't taken that many with it, but the RF 100 to 400 is fantastic value for money, but you need to use one of the cameras that can handle high ISOs, because this, the aperture range on this is quite slow. It's very slow. So, and that's another beauty with the Canon R6. It handles, you know, that lens really, really nicely. But as I say, it's for grip and it's for handling of the R6, which I really, really do like. So there we go. That's the Canon EOS R6. I can highly recommend it to anyone who's looking at a full frame camera. There's a new model coming out, the R6 Mark II. So I suspect the second-hand value of the R6 will come down slightly, and maybe even the new prices will come down a bit, which makes it even better value for money. But yeah, great camera, great handling, great reliability, and a lot of flexibility. If you can get over the psychological issue of only being a 20 megapixel sensor, I can blow these images up large enough to be able to print really large images from it. So, you know, it's not a concern to me that it has. It was before I bought it, but it isn't now that I own it. It isn't a concern that it only has a 20 megapixel sensor. So yeah, there we go. But the detail is gorgeous. The detail is phenomenal from these Canon sensors and these Canon cameras. So I'm big into the Canon ecosystem now, and I'm really pleased that I am. So there we go. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe if you haven't already done so. Hit the like button if you like the content of these videos. Really, really appreciate that, particularly if you like the content of this video. And I will leave a link to my Flickr page in the description of this video. So if you want to take a look at them, please take a look at them on Flickr rather than trying to study them on my YouTube channel. It'd be much better looking at them on Flickr, and let me know what you think. So there we go. Thanks very much for watching. Cheers for now. Bye.